Welcome, Aries, to your in-depth monthly forecast for March 2026. I'm going to share with you, first of all, some of the big themes of this month, and there are some mighty historic ones, particularly for you. On screen, you can see your event chart on the 1st of March. That provides a backdrop for the whole of the month. It is, if you like, the natal chart of the month. I'll then go through each of the changing influences frame by frame to give you a clear picture of what you can expect. I'm going to give you a summary around your love life, your finances, and also your professional situation too. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. A warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to the channel, please do so now. Each March, we have a spring equinox, the vernal point. The sun returns to the place at the very start of its zodiacal journey. But this year, for the first time in 150 years, it will meet with Neptune. And in terms of Saturn back in your zodiac sign, it's the first time for 29 and a half years. And they are going to come together, the sun, Saturn and Neptune, towards the end of this month. What's the implication of that? It's incredibly potent. But also, we have your ruler Mars diving deep on the 2nd into the aquatic sign of Pisces. What's the implication there? We have a total lunar eclipse on the 3rd. We have Venus detrimented, moving into your zodiac sign on the 6th, and also running into Saturn and Neptune. What's that about? And Jupiter, the planet of growth, optimism, and fortune, which has been retracing his steps for 4 months, ends its retrograde in its exaltation in the sign of Cancer on the 11th. But of course, we come into this month with Mercury, the communicator, also in retrograde, and that ends on the 20th. But it is worth knowing that by the end of this month, Venus is going to give you a reward. Please stay with me for that as I share more. So on the screen, we have that event chart. And Mars in Aquarius is very much to do with the collective. It can be to do with events that have an impact on us all. Mars here is a bit more democratic. It's not so focused on its own personal ego. It is more about the team. But I feel that the square with Uranus is very, very potent because of the reflection of those events, which started in the middle of May 2018, went on to October. The reason was that Mars, your ruler, was on the anaretic degree in Capricorn when Uranus pitched up in Taurus, but then moved into Aquarius, where he went into his every 2 year retrograde. So for the whole of that summer, they were bristling and abrasing one another. And for sure, ever since then, we've seen Uranus, which is in its fall in Taurus, having a huge impact on us in terms of the cost of living, the cost of resources, the cost of food, and also things that are quarried from the earth, particularly minerals, particularly things like fuels. And also, we have had some significant wars developed since then, along with COVID. So, Uranus has created a lot of turbulence. And I feel Mars can be about impatience, it can be about war, and the sign of Aquarius can be a point of principle. And Taurus, in as the host of Uranus, can also be about values, but much more to do with unpredictable values. So I feel that the tension these two create could see some significant events, particularly in Iran, but possibly in Ukraine too. But also, we need to be mindful of the two luminaries. And at the start of this month, the moon is in your sister fire sign of Leo and in the 5th house, which points towards a potential for you to be affectionate, warm hearted, and demonstrative. But let's just look at that opposition to Pluto, because that can create a lot of intensity and also some polar mood shifts at times. So, when it comes to your social situation or your love life, there may be a period of big discussion and very deep thinking, not least because we have Venus, the planet of relating, in actually a very interesting link with Uranus at the start of this month. Maybe someone from your past is going to get in touch. Maybe you're going to start thinking more nostalgically about someone, or maybe you're going to start thinking about the potential for freedom if you're not happy in an existing relationship. Because you can see Mercury and Venus together can actually be pretty lucky. If there is something you've been working on behind the scenes, it could give you a reward, but you do need to be open to being flexible with Uranus in that relationship with them. So, for some people, there may even be a connection with someone completely new that comes out of the ether at a rattling, unpredictable pace, and you may find them very hard to resist. But it may be a relationship you want to keep close to your chest to begin with. But of course, Saturn and Neptune are now back in your zodiac sign. And they are going to be meeting up, particularly towards the end of this month, with Pluto in a way which can be transforming. In fact, once the Sun moves into your sign on the 20th, he too is going to forge an amazing link to Pluto as well. So, what's the overall context as you come into this month? Well, I think you are being asked to think about some parts of your existence, especially when Mars moves into Pisces on the 2nd, that may be coming to a close, or maybe areas to do with your deep subconscious that still need perhaps healing or releasing old wounds and hurts. And the opportunity to work with that is going to come from the total lunar eclipse of the 3rd, which occurs in Virgo. Now, Virgo is a sign which is very much about practicalities, precision, can, of course, be about details and also creating efficient outcomes. But it's also about our physical well-being, whereas the energy of the Sun, along with those other players, the North Node, Mercury, and Venus, are all in the more emotional, psychological part of your situation. So I think it's very important in the following 6 months to try to integrate the practical and emotional spheres of your well-being. So if you have been feeling a bit lower in vitality, give yourself permission, particularly with the arrival of Mars in your 12th house, to be open to looking at feelings, to not seeing that as being a weakness or a vulnerability. It can actually be a rich source of opportunity for you, particularly when Mars forges a stunning alliance to Jupiter in week 3 of this month. You could have a conversation at that time which can really release something that has been creating some blocks, or perhaps holding on deep within your body, because Jupiter can be about knowledge, and in the sign of Cancer, very much about emotional knowledge. But that does bring us to the 6th. So Venus, the relator, moves out of Pisces into your zodiac sign, but by the 8th is in a very tense conjunction with Saturn. Venus is said to be detrimented in Aries because the opposite sign to yours of Libra is what Venus rules. And your sign is about action and being very much on the front foot. And it can be about actualizing your individual needs, whereas Venus in Libra is much more in responsive. It's much more about harmonizing towards other people. I actually personally really like people with Venus in Aries. I think it's one of those essential dignities that should be challenged, because it gives them the confidence and the courage to make moves in situations when they're not sure. But if you do have that initial connection to someone at the start of this month, I do feel it's going to be tested by the end of week 1. It doesn't mean to say it will end, but it will be tested. And of course, Mercury is in a retrograde at the start of this month. So your psychological world may at times feel a bit drifty, dreaming, and confusing. If you're not getting messages from someone at quite the pace you would like, it would be understandably very frustrating. But what we are going to see is the Sun, as he moves forwards over the first week of the month, is then going to come into a stunning alliance with Jupiter. And rather like Mars playing catch up later in the month, if you're prepared to do that inner, deeper work, you're not dissing your vulnerabilities, you're not pushing to one side some concerns or anxieties you've got. If there is something that's coming to the end in your situation, you're being brave about it, you're accepting that something may need to transform, you will be rewarded. But that then brings us to the 11th. Jupiter ends its retrograde in Cancer, and it is going to be heading towards the exit by the end of June, and for you, sensationally into your sister fire sign of Leo. But from now until then, if there is something around a property, home, or family matter that you want to press forwards with greater energy and conviction, as Mars moves forwards later this month, he will help you to push forwards and gain traction. But then on the 19th, we have the new moon, the seventh successive new moon, 28 degrees in Pisces, but forging a tremendous angle to Uranus. And this is how the planets work. Mars, your ruler, is challenged by Uranus at the start of this month. Venus isn't. And then later on, as the month goes on, the Sun is aligning with Uranus. And it's all about flexibility, but also the Sun in the 12th house of your chart may encourage you to quarry past skills, experiences, and knowledge in a way which can refresh and help you to complement what you're doing now and be adaptable, which is very important. But then on the 20th, Mercury ends its retrograde. It won't end the shadow period, the post retrograde period, until the 9th of April. So things can still be a little bit sluggish. There may still be some sensitive strands washing around in the back of your mind, but the Sun moving into Aries on the 20th and the start of that new astrological and astronomical year is really, truly exciting, because Western tropical astrology is predicated on the seasons. When you read that Western tropical astrology is wrong, there should be 13 zodiac signs and so on. No, it's based on the seasons, which is an exact division of the 52 weeks by 4 quadrants. So we enter cardinal quadrant 1. This is the period of new beginnings. In the astrological journey, Sun returning to Aries is about being more innocent, perhaps taking a step into the unknown, starting things afresh, or feeling re energized. And if you have been feeling a little battered by all that emotional energy at the start of this month, it wouldn't be a complete surprise. But of course, we do have in week 3 the Sun meeting both Neptune and Saturn. So if there is something in your situation which isn't working quite so well, it will get shook out at that time. And it is just important to know that if something does leave you, it's for a very good reason. And towards the end of this month, we do have on the 30th Aries a wonderful move as Venus moves out of your sign and back home into Taurus. And I can say that your finances will revive as the month comes to a close. But when it comes to your love life, I feel that you could meet someone new at the start of this month, but there could also be a separation or a complete ending. But if you do talk it through once Venus moves into Aries and come to a firmer understanding of what's possible, it could be a relationship that's going to stick around for the long term. When it comes to your career, just know that at the start of this month, both Neptune and Saturn are squaring off the 10th house cusp in Capricorn. If you are wanting to do something new, you're going to have to be very diligent and narrow your focus to make sure that you're not spreading yourself too thin. Being very economical about your energy, but also about your imagination, is going to be part of the joint journey of Saturn and Neptune through your sign in the years to come. Thank you so much for joining me. Please check out your Saturn deep dive video for Aries by clicking on the screen, or you can join me at my new website. We're constantly improving and updating it. It would be great to have your company. Please click on that screen for that. If you'd like to order me one-to-one, please check out my testimonials below. You can also order your personal forecast either in natal or draconic format. If you order the natal package, there's 50% off. Please apply Astro 26 at the checkout. If you want draconic, your soul karmic package, there's 50% off. Please apply Draco 26 at the checkout. Both provide searing insights, great value, very accurate, and totally unique to you.